So, have you ever wondered what happens when a single tweet doesn't just end a celebrity's career, but in their eyes, unlocks a massive global conspiracy? Well, today we're diving into the grand theory of comedian Roseanne Barr. According to her, that infamous tweet wasn't just a mistake, it was the first thread she pulled in an unraveling that exposed a hidden spiritual war for the very soul of humanity. Let's get into it. So, here's how we're going to break this down. We'll start with her personal feeling of being proven right. Then we'll get into this great unraveling she talks about. After that, we'll map out the enemies and allies she sees, dig into the spiritual battle at the center of it all, and finally look at what she sees as the coming final victory lap. Okay, so first things first, the entire foundation of this whole theory, everything we're about to talk about, it all rests on one single powerful belief she holds, that she was completely and totally right. And here it is, straight from her. She argues that everything that's happened in the last 9 years has proven her right, especially about that 2018 tweet concerning Valerie Jarrett and Iran. You have to understand, this belief isn't just a side note. It's the absolute launch pad for her entire worldview. So let's just do a quick recap to get our bearings. Back in 2018, she sends out that tweet. It leads almost immediately to her getting fired by ABC and the reboot of her hit show getting canceled. But now, looking back, she doesn't see it as a low point. She sees it as a moment of triumph, the moment she was proven right all along. But that feeling of vindication, that's just the tip of the iceberg. Barr believes her tweet wasn't just some controversial statement. No, she thinks it was the one thread that, when she pulled it, started what she calls the great unraveling of a hidden global power structure. So the big question is, what exactly did her tweet supposedly unravel? Well, according to Barr, it tore the lid off a ridiculously complex web of deep state conspiracies and secret groups that have been pulling the world's strings for centuries. And this is where the theory just explodes in scope. She connects everything from Nazi-era mind control programs like MKUltra, which she says were brought to America through Operation Paperclip, to what she calls a modern-day Fourth Reich. She then links this shadow government to global child trafficking networks, think Jeffrey Epstein, and then ties all of that to financial control through institutions like the Bank of International Settlements. The key takeaway for her is that these aren't separate things. It's all one giant interconnected system of control. All right, so now that the stage is set, let's look at the actual players in this huge conflict. Barr paints a very, very clear picture of who's on which side. In her world, it's pretty much black and white. You've got two teams. On one side, she accuses this coalition that includes, her words, Pakistani Muslims, who she claims control the internet, a group she calls Marxist Luciferian Jews, huge institutions like the Vatican and the English royals, and the Democratic Party, which she calls the War Party. And fighting against them, well, that's her allies. Donald Trump, Torah Jews, just the regular people, and even people like Elon Musk, who she says is a billionaire who has seen the light. Now, she uses this very specific acronym to make a distinction. GNOS. It stands for Jews in name only. This is the label she puts on the people she calls Marxist Luciferian Jews, and it's how she separates them from the Torah Jews, who she sees as her allies in this whole fight. And this brings us to what's really at the heart of her entire worldview. For Roseanne Barr, all these political fights, all this financial stuff, that's all just noise on the surface. The real fight, the one that actually matters, is a cosmic war between God and Satan. This quote right here, this is the bedrock of the entire theory. She genuinely believes that the people and institutions on the other side aren't just wrong politically. No, she thinks they are literal Satanists, and that their primary motivation is a deep hatred for God and for the divine law, the Torah. So you might be asking, how does she identify a Satanist? Well, she actually offers a pretty specific 3-step test. She says a Satanist is anyone who goes after an outside group relentlessly, but absolutely refuses to ever admit any faults within their own group. She calls this a lie of omission, and for her, that's the ultimate tell. And this is why it all matters so much to her. The end game for the satanic force, as she tells it, isn't just about money or power. It's way more profound. It's about severing that sacred, divine connection between every single human being and God, basically leaving all of us lost and cut off. So finally, we've seen the battle lines, we've seen the spiritual war. How does this all end? She has a very clear vision for what the victory lap for her side is going to look like. Now, this number, it's roughly her podcast audience, is a huge deal to her. She doesn't look at that and think it's small. To her, it's proof that you don't need some massive movement to win this thing. As she puts it, God says, the only thing needed is the power of one. And this right here is the world she sees coming after the unraveling is all done. We're talking a total redistribution of wealth from the elites back to the working people, the complete dismantling of the war machine, the fall of these corrupt family dynasties, and the rise of a brand new humane economic system. It's, in short, a complete restoration of power back to the people. So after laying out this incredibly detailed worldview, we're left with a pretty tough question, aren't we? Roseanne Barr has constructed this complete, self-contained story that explains, for her followers, everything that's wrong with the world. So when we're faced with these kinds of all-encompassing theories, how do any of us figure out what's fact and what's fiction? And what does it say about right now that so many of us are looking for one big theory to make sense of it all?